So for this video, we are going to be going through the problem of the coin counter and figuring out just how I went through the process of finding my solution. So the first step in finding a solution every time is to make sure we understand exactly what we're doing. So what I did was I went through the information that were provided, and I gathered that we have a set of scanners that were provided for us. And then in that scanner is going to be reading from an input file, which includes a number of coins. Where's that? A number of coins, pairs of tokens where each pair begins an integer followed by a type of coins. Here we go. So we're going to have the number and then also the type next to it. So, for instance, 3 pennies, 2 quarters, etc. And then what we need to do is we need to take that information and say, well, we have this many pennies, right? So we have 3 pennies, and it's a penny, so it's going to be 1 cent, right? And that means we have 3 cents. We have to do that for all the pieces of information we have, but we also know that there can be repeats. So essentially, the way I started was just by using the information that I know I have, right? So they already gave us the method name and the parameter. So that's what I started with. Here's the count coins method with the parameter of the scanner input. So I also know that because I don't know how many pieces of information we're going to be scanning through, I'm going to use a while loop. But before I did that, I wanted to initialize a double value to store the total money in. So every time it goes through this process, we can just update this and it won't reinitialize it at 0 or anything. So for this while loop, the conditional that I have put in here is there another piece of information for us to parse? And if there is, then it will continue. So the first thing it does in this while loop is it captures the first piece of information that we're provided in each entry, which is the number of coins. And then the second thing it does is it saves the type of coins as a string. And now that I had this information saved, I knew that I needed to actually determine the value of the type of coin. So I created a second method called value coins, which is here. And this second method just takes the coin type that we've already saved, passes it along as a parameter here. And then what it does is it checks to see, does this type mean penny? Or is it a penny? Or does it say nickels? Or does it say dimes? But it's also going to ignore the casing, so we don't have to worry about any of this causing problems. So it can check that, and then if it's a penny, it's going to say it's 1 cent. If it's a nickel, 5 cents. If it's a dime, 10 cents. But because there are only 4 coin options, as stated in the instructions, we don't need to do a 4th test to see if it actually says quarters, because it has to be, because there are no other options. And in this case, it will return 25 cents. So now we know the value of the type of coin that we have. And in order to calculate the total amount, all we have to do is update that value by adding the new additional value that we've just calculated, which is going to be the number of coins multiplied by the value we have figured out in this other method that has just been passed back. And once it goes through this cycle enough times, again and again, it will be finished and will exit because there will no longer be information to parse. And in that instance, once it gets there, it will print out the total amount of money with the formatting that we want because we've written it out, and then the actual value that we have saved. And if we did it correctly, we will get these values because this is what I got, and we can see up in the instructions, this is what we were also supposed to get, which means we did it correctly, and that is great.